Hello and welcome back to the 18th episode of the Tower Sports Advisory Podcast. Today's special guest is Pat Austin, Associate Head Coach at Southern New Hampshire University.
How you doing, guys?
Not too bad, PA. How are you?
I'm well. Doing this here from a Walmart parking lot while I work my full-time job.
Nice. Thanks for that.
T2 at its finest right there.
Absolutely. All right. PA, I want to start by diving into your playing career. 4-year varsity player at Keene State College. Your stats at Keene State hit 293, 56 hits, 19 doubles, 3 triples, 20 RBIs, 424 slug, 386 OBP. Pitching stats, 5.82 ERA, 24 appearances, 77.1 innings pitched, 36 walks to 37 punchouts. Served as team captain junior and senior year for the Owls, qualified for the Little East tournament all 4 years. As a senior, participated in the ECAC tournament. Can you kind of describe what it was like playing at Keene State during your time?
It was some of the most fun I ever had in my entire life. Still got group text that goes back and forth with guys that were teammates of mine. So it was definitely a really special place for me. College baseball in 2002 to 2005 was different. You know, we were Division III program, but some of the first games that I played in my college career, we played Division I programs, Division II programs, NAIA programs. I mean, you played whoever was local to you at that point. College game has come a long way since my playing days, but Keene State was a really special place to me. I feel fortunate to have had that experience in my life.
All right, diving into question number 2 is, can you explain how important the 1-to-1 walk-to-strikeout ratio both at the plate and on the mound was? I thought that was pretty cool because you had it for both.
Well, on the mound, that's not all that damn good, is it? 1-to-1, you really hope to be like 3-to-1. I don't know. Offensively, I think that the 1-to-1 ratio shows a lot. It shows your competence as a player. It shows fight. It shows discipline. It shows, strike zone awareness, the ability to, at the ball skills. I mean, there's a lot that goes into why the 1-to-1 ratio as an offensive player is really important. That's certainly left the game as years have progressed. And, at the big league level, now guys are striking out 200 times in a season, but stuff is obviously way different than it used to be. But I think the 1-to-1 in the collegiate game is a really good marker. I mean, it's one of our offensive goals as a collective unit, as a team, that we try to achieve is that 1-to-1 ratio. But we add in the hit by pitch at SNHU. And I think the nice thing offensively is when setting a goal and setting standards for an offense is really challenging when you're doing it for like a collective group. But that 1-to-1 ratio, like trying to have that as a marker and something to achieve, is something that elevates every single player on your roster. And that's why I think the doubles are really important as a measure for an offense, because doubles elevate every single player on an offense. I think it makes, somebody like yourself, Zach, if you were maybe chasing doubles a little more than home runs, like that would be something that would be really helpful. Like we had the kid Jackson Marshall this year, and chasing doubles is something that's going to benefit him because it's probably going to get him a little lower and a little more on a line and a little less swing and miss. And it also benefits, the guy that can burn and run, because he could stretch the single into a double. So I really like, doubles, and the 1-to-1 ratio for strikeouts to walks, I think is something that can elevate every single offensive player. On the mound, like I said, we to be better than the 1-to-1 ratio. I was a pretty stock right-handed pitcher. I never even pitched in my life. I was throwing long toss one day, and one of the coaches on our staff asked if I ever pitched, and I was just trying to make sure I was on the roster and said yes. And I remember going out in my first fall game against outside competition, and I somehow punched out the side. Next thing you know, I was pitching in college too.
I mean, back when we played, though, even when I played, right, 1-to-1 was pretty normal. Like, if your pitching staff was 1-to-1, that was still good. Now we're in the generation of like 2-to-1, 3-to-1. Some guys want to push 4-to-1. Like, that's great, but like 1-to-1 was still pretty good
For strikeouts to walk for
pitchers. Back in that,
yeah,
we preached it all the time.
yeah. I mean, it's. And you're saying more now guys are K-ing more guys?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
velos
I
are up
mean,
and all that stuff, but back
yeah.
then, like, there was still your 90. I mean, you guys had it when we played you, but when I was at Pierce, but the 90+ guys weren't striking out 3-to-1 every time. Like, it's not. And I
No.
think you made an important point there too, like the swing and miss at the plate. I mean, I was one of those guys. Like, I know, I get it, but the swing and
Can
miss
I
has
interrupt for it?
become.
Can
Yeah,
I interrupt for a second? Because one of my coolest moments and memories on a baseball field was actually something that you did against us. You hit a baseball off of Mitchell Powers, who is one of the best pitchers in Southern New Hampshire history. That I remember the guys, Andy Lalonde went out the next day and found the baseball and pinged it
and
from home
KP.
plate to see how far in KP to see how far that thing landed. It was over 500 feet. And I remember turning to the Scott Loazzo and hitting him on the shoulder, and we both at the same time, I think, because we were winning at that point in the game, we were like,
Yeah,
"That's
it
the
was like
coolest thing I've."
8-3.
Yeah, we said to each other, "I think that was the coolest thing I've ever seen." So good for you, Zach. You literally hit the furthest baseball I've ever seen hit in my entire life. That was absolutely electric. So sorry to interrupt there.
No, Scotty said that too, but I'm like, it's different unless you don't understand unless you've been to SNHU. Because like I have the video somewhere. I don't know where it is anymore, but like you look at the video and you don't realize like how tall the trees are at SNHU.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Johnny Stanton said it the best because I played summer ball with him. He's like, dude, it
Yep.
went over everything. And I'm like,
Everything.
I don't think it went over everything. I actually have the
it
ball.
didn't. I'm telling you, it cleared the trees. So yeah, that was impressive. Very impressive.
Back to the playing days. All right.
I
Last
took us off
question
track
about.
there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it did. You're good. Last question about playing career is looking back, how did your experience as a player shape the coach you become today?
Well, at Keene State, when I was there, I got to win and lose, and I got to see what both looked like. And I think I definitely grew an understanding that, we, the first 2 years, my freshman year, I remember beating Eastern Connecticut. They had won a national title that year, and I think we beat them 2 or 3 times, and they may have only lost 6 games on the year. And we had a really good team. The next year we came back and we had the same team. You would think that we would be better, and we were way worse. We underperformed. In my junior year, we weren't nearly as skilled, and I saw how important skill was, and raw skills and ability matter, and we just didn't have the talent. And then my senior year, we had a really good group of freshmen come in, and we won again. But I definitely take that out of my playing days is understanding how important keeping people on the same page and having, you know, I think a lot of people are interested in being good, but you really need to share the same values. Like you date girls that you share the same interests as, and you marry the woman that you share the same values as. I think there's a big difference between interest and values. And the 2 years that we won when I was there, we shared the same values as a group. The 2 years that we didn't win, really my sophomore year, I think it had to do with guys were more interested in baseball. It wasn't everything to us the way it was the year before. So
Awesome.
that was something I take out of my college experience. And the other is the people that I got to my freshman year, we had this guy, Matt Laboratory, um, as like a student assistant coach, and he might be the reason why I coach today, just because that guy's passion for the game was incredible. Like if you couldn't be ready to play and give that guy everything you had, and just as a student assistant, I mean, he
PA, for me, what was your recruiting experience like? I know it's changing every single year from social media to phone calls to emails to on-person visits, everything like that. But you just touch on what your recruiting experience was like when you were 16, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I did one like type of showcase. It may have been like Top 96 or something. I don't even know if Top 96 is around anymore, but I think I might have done one showcase. Played high school, played Legion. There were only two travel teams in the state of Connecticut at that time, and quite frankly, I was definitely not good enough to be on them. My old man was a coach, and I remember he was asked to coach coached by Coach Tercio, and he was like, "Well, can my son be on the team?" And he's like, "Nah, he's not good enough." It was a way different time. There were no travel teams, so um, I think the recruiting calendar was also, we're almost like returning back to what it was like 20 years ago, I think. I think that players senior year fall is when guys are going to start to make their decision, and that's basically when I made mine. Was right around that time. And I don't even think that Keene State ever saw me play in a game. The schools that had recruited me at the time were like Castleton. Some of the state schools in Connecticut were the ones that were on me, and I think I picked Keene State because I didn't know anybody that was going there, and I wanted to go somewhere a little further away from home. So yeah, there wasn't really much of a recruiting experience. I did one showcase, and that was my process. I kind of picked Keene State because I went up, visited the school, thought it was an awesome place, met with the coaches, and tried out just like everybody else. So there really wasn't much to it. It was definitely a different time. Like I don't think that no I think that coaches nowadays work way harder. Like there are more coaches out, and probably because there are more full-time coaches at the collegiate level than there ever have been. Like there's programs at every level that have full-time assistants now, or two full-time assistants, and that just wasn't the case 20 years ago. So I think that college coaches are out recruiting way more, and there's way more exposure in 2025 than there was in the year 2000. It just wasn't wasn't really a thing like it is today. So I don't know if that answered your question, but there really wasn't
No,
much of a
that's
recruiting process. It
no,
It's
was
it
just
did.
different.
Yeah, I like how you touched on Legion. Like I remember I played Legion and then AAU as
Mhm.
well. But I feel like you hear like when I was recruiting a lot of kids, I know it's still big in Connecticut, but a lot of kids don't really play Legion anymore. It's like, hey, I'm gonna play high school and then I hop right into summer ball for 3, 4 months and then it's right back into fall ball if they don't play a sport, and then it's right back into high school baseball. I think Legion was that obviously you like you said, there was only two teams, so it was really hard to play, but I think Legion is such a dying breed, and I think it made kids so much better because you could just play, and it also had the top competition within the states.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I played travel ball, and then once I committed to UMass Lowell, I went and played Legion, and it was like that was like the norm. So like that junior/senior year of high school when we played Legion, it was like Shrewsbury went to the World Series, like all these
mhm.
different teams that were Maine South, East Side, all the teams that I grew up playing against, and all these kids that I played against in high school, they're all playing Legion because they're all committed. And it was like I think in Worcester County alone, there was 50, 60 kids playing Legion baseball that were already committed to a school, whether it was D1, 2, or 3.
Yeah. I part of part of the game changing and like having to do a lot more coaching now than 15 years ago, I think is due to the fact that Legion baseball has, uh, fallen off to a large degree. I mean, with travel baseball, you go and it's, uh, in travel baseball is great for some things, but it doesn't really facilitate and enhance the game and the knowledge of playing to win baseball games. Like in Legion, you'd be asked to put down a sacrifice bunt. I don't see a whole hell of a lot of that in travel baseball. It's rare, in fact, that a game in travel baseball even gets to get completed because there's hour and 50-minute time limits on games. There's no standings. So nobody really knows outside of, like there's no standings, there's no tournament. That really doesn't exist in the travel ball world. I don't think it puts kids into, necessarily like those pressure situations. Like that's why I think high school is still so important. Like I really like getting out to watch high school games because uh, there's something to that atmosphere where there's something actually riding on the line. Like, is your season going to end tomorrow? The ending to a travel summer schedule is pretty anticlimactic. Whereas you get to the end of a Legion schedule, and for most of the time, hopefully in a state tournament, it ends like there's a winner and a loser, and there's only one winner at the end of the day, and that's not the case with travel baseball. That's why I'm really still a huge fan of high school baseball, and getting out to watch high school baseball is because there's way more riding on the line. The players are asked to do things that are more selfless, whereas that's not necessarily part of the travel baseball world.
I think the first time that kids are facing pressure now is if they play travel baseball, right? And you made a good point here, but it's like you invite them to your showcase camp and they have an absolute meltdown. That's the first time they've had pressure because yes, we're in a lot of guys around here in our area do team camps. So you just take your travel team,
Mm-hmm.
you play 2, 3, 4 games, whatever it is, which is great. And I tell a kid like, hey, now that they're going to invite you to their showcase camp on their campus to kind of see you on that solo island to see if you're a fit for their school. And then that's
Mm-hmm.
when the kids have the meltdown and the parents say, well, this was a waste of money. No, your kid wasn't ready for it. And I think that's the biggest misconception in recruiting now is these kids have meltdowns when they go on these visits. Like SNHU, for example, could invite 3 shortstops and say, hey, I'm taking one of you. And you guys need to figure out, hey, this is who I want. And then the kids will go home and they'll be like, well, I did everything I could. Well, if you didn't have a good day, you didn't have a good day. It's okay. It's baseball. There's 300 other schools that you could possibly go to. If SNHU was your number one and you didn't perform, that's your fault.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you gotta perform. It is completely, that is a very accurate statement. One of the things that I think we'll get to is like, what advice could I give to like a high school guy? And I mean, it's pretty simple. Like, be good. Like, be good. I don't really have a ton of insight for you other than perform. That matters at the end of the day. And Josh, you ended up at Eastern, and Zach, you were at Franklin Pierce. Like, neither one of those programs are places you go if you're scared. That is absolutely something that is very true about the program that you pick. Like Eastern Connecticut, Franklin Pierce, Southern New Hampshire, like those are places they're not for everybody. And like you're saying about the performance at camp, like, it's not the end all be all, but it does give us some insight to how guys respond to coaching, how they respond to pressure. That is for sure.
All right. Diving into your coaching career. After graduating from Keene State, served as a head coach of the New Hampshire Hammerheads club program. Guided the program's 13U team to division titles in 2007 and 2009. In 2010, the 14U team advanced to the New England quarterfinals. In 2011, joined the coaching staff at St. A's, spent 2 seasons as their assistant coach and strength and conditioning coordinator. In 2011, the Hawks defense finished 7th nationally in fielding percentage. In 2012, the Hawks broke a ton of school offensive records en route to qualifying for the NCAA East Regional. In 2013, joined the SNHU baseball program as an assistant coach. During the 2015 season, served as co-interim head coach for the Penmen, guiding SNHU to a 31-14 record and the program's fourth straight NCAA regional appearance, and then elevated to associate head coach, your current role, in September of 2017. Wow. So when I went to Pierce, who became associate head coach, that's pretty cool.
My first year there as well.
Josh, I think your number is still saved in my phone as your graduation year and your high school. So, yeah.
All right. First question I got for you is, what drove you to get out of travel ball and kind of into the coaching world of college baseball?
Opportunity. Actually, so my first year coaching was actually at Manchester West High School, and there was a young man named Nick Sinatiempo that was on the team there, and he was going to St. John's. And fast forward 4 years later, and he's done with his playing career, and he's coming on and joining the St. Anselm College staff as their pitching coach, and they needed another coach, and Nick reached out to me and presented me with an opportunity, and I am very thankful to him and to Barry Rosen, who was the head coach at the time at St. A's, and that's what led me to move out of the travel baseball world. I always wanted to be in college, but I got done at Keene State, at Keene State, got a job, and I just went to work in the travel ball world because I love baseball. I really, really love baseball, and I wanted to stay involved. And I had no idea that I was going to get a phone call from a kid that I coached 4 years previous, to come help out at St. A's. So that's what took me out of it. Is I always wanted to, didn't know where really the heck to start. Nick and Barry Rosen gave me that opportunity at St. A's.
Awesome. I mean, it kind of goes back to what I say to kids all the time, and I'm sure you say it, but everything's built off of connections. And it's like, you don't know that kid that you coached 4 years ago, like you said, what opportunity is going to come from that. But it's also like, kids need to understand when they're having a conversation with a coach, like, that coach is going to remember that. When that coach, essentially, let's say you enter the portal, right? You don't know where that coach that you said no to the year prior, if you didn't want to go to their school, is going to be. If you need to bump down a division and they've moved on and they got a head coach job, like I could use Coach Morales, Coach Shade, all the guys that Coach Ward who've gotten head coach jobs that I've had on the podcast. But if you tell them, hey, I don't want to come to your school, and you don't do it in a respectful way, they're not going to take you when they see your name in the portal. They're just going to sit there and laugh, because that does happen more than we think now. But it's also like, you teach these kids to do all these things, right? But it's like, at the end of the day, I'm sure 99% of coaches will say, I want you to be a good person before the baseball comes. And it's like, have those respectful conversations. I tell all our kids, whether the kids I coach or the kids I help with the recruiting, like, if you don't want to go to school, that's fine. Call them, text them, send them an email, do it the right way, because you never know what's going to happen. You could get hurt and you need another place to go. And hey, maybe that wasn't a fit for you out of high school, but maybe as a transfer, as a freshman, that might be your only fit. And then that guy's going to understand that you kept it, one, civil, and two, you did it the right way. So it's going to be like, hey, maybe I need that guy now. And I think that opportunity is a lot bigger for kids now too, especially portal transfers, grad transfers, whatever it is, like, and then D1 roster cuts in December. I mean, it's going to be mayhem. So these kids that are looking for the perfect match, like, dude, unless you're a top 50 player in the country, I don't know if there's a perfect match.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, in coaches talk too, right? It's not like, so we have 10 players committed in our 2026 class, and, we got a guy at a certain position, and now we're all done with that position. Like, 100% going to communicate to other coaches that I know, hey, I got this kid. He was awesome through the recruiting process. It's not a fit here. We've filled that position right now. He's somebody that's worth exploring. So we certainly talk with each other and help each other out quite a bit, like, obviously within our own circles, but like, I know you guys know Coach Goss really, really well, and it's not out of the ordinary for me to be calling him up and passing a name along of somebody that I thought was a really good kid and had some skill, and to send him over there. Or now, you got where I go out and watch a guy, and I know that they're way better than SNHU. And, I'm going to pick up the phone and call somebody like Coach Loazzo, or Coach Mascara and say, man, you really should put a set of eyes on these guys. Like, I think this kid's special. So we all talk. So it is really, really important.
I mean, there too, it's kids don't understand. Like, you don't have to have the best day. Like, you could see something, hey, this kid's really twitchy. I hear that a lot. Or, hey, this guy's got a better cutter than most of the guys I see. Hey, maybe he didn't throw a ton of strikes today, but at least, hey, the cutter's coming back and people want to see that, right? So there's different things that kids don't understand, but it's like that coach, like Scotty said it on it was 2 podcasts ago, but he said it and he goes, I watch everything you do. And I'm sure you're the same way. I've known you long enough now, but it's like you watch the way they stretch, play catch, the way they are on the index circle, how the guy warms up in the bullpen. Like everything is watched in between innings. I'm like, that can separate you right there. Maybe the ability is not there yet, but those coaches will find something that they like that they can put into you and have that trust of like, I want to develop this kid. Because at the end of the day, that's all this is about. Developing kids to win baseball games and buy into the culture.
Yep. That's completely accurate. I mean, and you think about hitting, like you get 3 at bats, you might be at the plate for 6 minutes. Like, I'm going to be there watching you for 3 hours. Like, what are you doing in the other 2 hours and 54 minutes? I'm going to be taking in as much as I possibly can, you know. Love I I think it's ridiculous that travel baseball games take place at 8 a.m., but I also don't hate going to the 8 a.m. game because the 8 a.m. game tells me a lot about who you are. Are you there? Are you getting your body ready to play? What type of energy are you playing with? Like, I think it's ridiculous that there are games at 8 a.m. But at the same time, those type of games tell me a lot about a guy. It was somebody you guys both played against, the kid Jake Koroff. I don't know if you guys remember Jake,
Oh, yeah.
but I remember driving down to watch him at Bryant for an 8 a.m. game, and this kid was a psycho. Like, he was literally he was everywhere. And I was like, dude, if that kid's like this for a game at the end of the summer, I gotta have him. I gotta have that kid. So we're watching, and he didn't even do anything that game. He didn't face any good pitching. So when Jake didn't face good pitching, he was like an auto 4-3, 3-1 ground out. To his but his energy like was what got me to want to have him as part of our program.
I mean, think about that though. Like that just screams SNHU energy. Like I said, we talked with Scotty too about it, but it's like the best way to say it is Walkinshaw is coming in the 9th inning, and there's not a single person in the stands, the coaching staff, or the dugout that's sitting down. Like,
no,
if you can't be in a high energy room or dugout, like that's not going to work. SNHU isn't going to be a place for you. And it's like, those are little things that kids and recruits don't understand of. That's going to separate you than the kid. Hey, that might be a little worse than you. By a little worse, I mean, it might be 2 inches shorter than you, right? But like, that's going to separate you because that kid's high energy and that fits their culture. Whereas the kid that might be the better player is shy, doesn't really say anything, kind of keeps to himself. I mean, there's little things that I call the unteachables, but it's like those are what separates a lot of recruits in today's world.
Absolutely.
For me, going back to the 8 a.m. games, I know I had the luxury of playing in the World Series and everything like that. But day 2, we were 1-0 and we were playing LaGrange out of Georgia, and our game got delayed due to rain. So we didn't kick off until 11:17 at night. And the loser had to play the following morning at like 12:35, right? And this is what you were talking about, win or go home. Like you're talking about those 8 a.m. guys. Coro probably was perfectly fine if you happen to lose the game to bounce back and be ready at 6 a.m. to play that loser go home game. Like people and kids understand what Zach was talking about, the unteachable. It's like you're looking for how good you guys have been. Like you're looking for guys that if you're backed into a corner, how are they going to respond? And the only way you can see that it's hard with the travel ball and things like that. So going off with what you said, you got to kind of make up some things like, hey, let's go see this kid at 8 a.m. Did he wake up at 6 a.m. ready to go? Or is he going to lull his way through 6.5 innings and then maybe hit a single in the seventh?
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Great. Does that help him at all? No. But you're trying to build this team, and kids are understanding that you might take that kid who is ready to go and he's high energy, he's bouncing off the wall. He might have had 3 energy drinks, but you're going to take him instead of the kid who might have went like 2 1/3, but oh, he's really good in night games or something like that. Like
Yeah, no.
there's something that separates yourself. And like the whole point I was trying to get to is like you guys have had the luxury of going to a lot of World Series, and you never know that one day you have that rain delay and you got to have your 5th-year senior throw on short days rest because it's his last game in college. And do you know if that's the kid you're recruiting that you're going to step on campus and you're going to get 3-4 years down the line? Or is he going to be the type of kid who's going to be like, Coach, I don't want the baseball today. Today's not.
Yeah. Yeah, Coach Loazzo used to talk about that all the time, and he's so right. You win with men, not with boys, and he would reiterate that to the group often, is that you win with men, not with boys. And I think some of the things that we're talking about here is we go around, like when we go out to watch games, is for me personally, I'm not one to look for things to cross you off the list. Like I'm looking for reasons in things that I like. Like I'm like actively looking for the things that I like, and trying to not say no. Like I'm really actively looking for reasons to not say no to someone. And now, working with Chris Shank again, like Coach Shank is like he's all about opportunities and giving guys more than one shot, in believing in redemption. And I think that's something about both Coach Loazzo and Coach Shank that I really really appreciate, is that is where their mindset is they're not looking for reasons to cross guys off. They're looking for reasons to put guys on that list. And even coming down to like games, like I I I don't think that I was wired this way previously, but being around those two gentlemen, and in watching across the field with somebody like Coach King for a number of years, getting to coach against him is, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but something that I'm sure that Coach Shank and Coach Loazzo took from Coach King is like, he never beat teams up when they win. Like when we win a game, whether it's Coach Shank or Coach Loazzo that's addressing the team at the end of the game and we won, all those guys understand how hard it is to win and never beat the group up after a win. That doesn't have really anything to do with this, but at the same time, I think it does. Like it was, all right, that might have been ugly, but we got the W. Good job, guys. Let's get the heck out of here. It's not in the business of beating guys down, and really try to always like build the group up. And it's the same thing when we're going to recruit. I think that both Coach Shank, Coach Loazzo, myself, probably because of Coach Loazzo, I'm going out and I'm looking for reasons to like a guy, not to not like him.
I think going off of what you said there too, and I can attest for this, of the hundreds of guys that have been through your program that I've played against, played with, like you care more about your kids than like, I'm not saying other coaches don't care, but like you live and die with those guys on the field. Like you have as much energy when you're coaching a game as those guys do when they're playing a game. Like, and I forget which podcast I said it on, but like when you're going to college, like these coaches become like your first, second, third, fifth, 10th, how many coaches you have, dad. Like these coaches are buying into your son. So when you're going to school for 4 years, like they're in charge of you. Like they don't want to kick you off the team. And it's like,
No.
I tell recruits all the time, I'm like, I'm not going to call a school if I don't think you can play there. And that doesn't mean I don't think you can ever play there. But at this current moment, if I call you at SNHU and I say, hey, I got a guy that's 81 miles an hour right now, is that going to benefit you right now? No. But if that kid goes to a Division III school and he ends up getting to 85, 86, that might help you. And that might open another door for opportunity. And I think that's the gray area in recruiting. I mean, you said it perfectly, but I think the gray area in recruiting right there is like, oh, I throw 82, so I can go to SNHU. Well, they have a kid there that throws 82 and his ball's got 6 inches to run inside and out. Do you have that? No, but you wouldn't know that. You just look at all the PBR, the perfect game, the whatever it is, and it's like, oh, he throws the same as I do. Like, there's 19 other equations that go into this, and just say 82, I'm going to SNHU.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. And I think that's the recruiting part that a lot of kids and a lot of parents are kind of lost in. Because yes, if you throw 95, you're going to find a home. Like, there's still a home for those guys that throw 82 miles an hour that can get guys out. And after their freshman year, end up being studs in the mound as a sophomore and throwing 85 to 88.
Yeah. I mean, we're still, like, we had that conversation actively throughout the entire summer. You know, no one grows up and says they want to go to Southern New Hampshire University. Like, that's not a thing, right? Like I wanted to go to UConn. I didn't want to go to Keene State. I didn't never even heard of Keene State until probably my junior year of high school. So we're like, our bread and butter over the years. You brought up Jake Walkinshaw. He was 82, 85. He touched a 7. The vast majority of guys that we recruited this summer on the mound are, 80. No, there's 3 guys in there that are up to 91 or 92, but there's the vast majority of the guys that we're recruiting are 82, 86 with a good frame, good arm action, and throw the white thing over the white thing. Like that's still going to be our bread and butter. Like you could go down the list of guys that ended up being fortunate enough to become professionals out of Southern New Hampshire. And when they were being recruited, most of them were mid-80s righties, with a good frame and good arm action. So there's you gotta try to see beyond what they are today, and that's our job, is often the projection piece.
PA, you said that what everybody is thinking in this world with not throwing the ball over the plate. For you pitchers out there, the only way you can pitch is if you throw it over the white thing. That's how it's always been. And one thing that I was going to add is I like to tell kids that if you want to go to a school, say they want to go to Southern New Hampshire, Franklin Pierce, they want to go out west, go to a Caltech or a Berkeley, or go up north to North Dakota State, whatever it is. Go watch a game, and then you'll understand, can you play with these guys? Because Zach brought it up on the last podcast, like the SNHU Pierce rivalries that we got to play in, that before we were even there, like, you go watch those games, they're men. You had men against men, and it was just a dogfight. And you can sit there and think, am I good enough to play here? And I think that's the thing that people don't look at, is you look at stats. Oh, they got this kid, they got that kid. Well, there's this kid. He wasn't that good in high school, but now he's good now. But if you go watch him now, he's 87, 89, throwing strikes 80% of the times, getting out, right? Like, we think there's a lot of, like, the social media aspect of you looking at a PBR of a kid throwing 92, but if he ain't throwing strikes, I know he ain't pitching in your program or a lot of programs, because you're not going to run a kid out there just to lock the house, right? And I think the kids don't understand that you can throw 82, 83 miles an hour. That's fine, as long as you're getting better and the coach sees something in you to get better. Do you have that drive? Do you have that competitive want? If there's if there's a why or a reason that you need to get better, because you're not just going to bring in some kid just to have them flatline at 82, 84. That's not what you see in a kid like that. You're hoping he improves, not just for the win side of things to help you guys win. It's because you want to see the kid become successful.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. I got some. You talk social media. I might be a 101 in this category. I do not have any social media. Zero. I like my eyeballs, and I like relying on other people that I trust and have built a relationship with over the years. Think that not having social media has, not that I've made all good decisions, but when recruiting players, I think it's very helpful to trust myself and there's value in social media and all, and I'm sure that a lot of good players have been found as a result of it. But and I might be shooting myself in the foot here, but I don't have it. I'd rather get a phone call from Zach and have him tell me, or Coach Lamazny, and have him say, man, you really should get out and watch this kid, or go to a game myself and find out. So I like my own eyes and in person, and try not to get fooled by social media. But I might be a
And
one-on-one in that category.
obviously the good thing is you have that trusted circle that you were talking about, that there's people that are going to call you that actually have kids that can play for you. They're not just going to waste your time. And it could be a kid that could be playing D3 ball, nothing wrong with that, but they're not just going to call you out of the blue and say, hey, PA, I got a guy for you. And he's like 72 to 75 as a senior.
No,
It's not going to help you out. So that's the thing is, coaches, you touched on it before, coaches talk, but there's their inner circle of people that you trust that can help you maybe get a guy to SNHU that wasn't on your radar. But again, you're not just going to take someone's word for it and offer him a scholarship. You're going to go watch him play and ultimately decide for yourself if he's a good fit for you guys.
I think the important part with social media, and like the more coaches that I've talked to, is like Twitter is the perfect example, because it's just you building a free profile of yourself. That doesn't mean like we're here for the likes, the clickbait, the whatever, like you want to call it. But it is very easy when I'm telling a recruit, hey, send PA your Twitter. I'm just using you as an example, but send PA your Twitter, because now he can go back from freshman year to senior year of every video you have. And now we don't have to go through and say, now I'm going to send 100 videos over iMessage to PA, and hopefully they like get through and you don't look like an ant on the screen. I think kids get lost in the value of that. But then on the other side of it is like the connection part there is like, I'm not going to call you with a recruit that I don't think deserves to be on your campus. That doesn't mean you don't think it, but you're going to find that kid on your own as it is anyway. So it's the connection part is very valuable in today's game. And I honestly think it's the biggest part of recruiting now, because if you burn a bridge with a college coach, it's not going to work anymore for you. And then whatever program that coach works in, it's not going to work for that program anymore. So like the value in college connections is, I mean, one, it's hard to keep them because guys are moving around job to job. There isn't many guys staying in one field unless they get that finally that head coach gig that they're looking for, and they stay there for the next 25 years. But it's the more connections you can build and the more genuine conversations you can have with the college coach, it's going to help your program get more kids in there, one, and it's going to make their program better. And I think that's where a lot of recruits and parents lose value of like, I'm going to go play for this travel team. Okay. My number one school is SNHU. Well, do you know anyone at SNHU that you can pick up and have a respectful phone call with and say, hey, I think I got a guy for you? If you don't, you're probably in the wrong program. And I'll go back to, obviously you're a Connecticut native. Like there's 76 travel programs in the state now.
That's
when you
crazy.
played in 2002, there was 2.
Yeah, it's wild.
Like, just think about that. So it's like you throw fuel in the fire when it's like, all right, there's bigger and better and the grass is greener over here. And we're at 4 different programs throughout their high school career, which is great. But it's like, have they helped you at all? Do they know any connections? And it's like kids and parents need to do their homework of like, all right, I'm going to this program. Well, if they don't have any connections and you're a junior and you're jumping ship to a program, probably not going to help you recruiting wise.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my rant for the
having
day
somebody
of like,
pick up for me, obviously, like having somebody pick up the phone and call me on a player's behalf is like, if you're taking the time out of your day to do that, you obviously must think highly of them, or you thought enough about them as a person and as a potential student athlete to pick up the phone and call me. So I mean, it's huge, you know. It really is.
all right, I got a few more questions for you and then we're done here. All right.
Okay.
Can you give us what a day in the life of a SNHU baseball player looks like?
So at SNHU, one of the things that I think is really good is you have time to be everything. And I think you have time to be a good student. I think you have time to be a good baseball player and to have that social component that you're looking for as a regular college student. So for our guys, it's It's dependent on the time of year, but we do try to give guys out of the regular season the opportunity to have that social component to their college experience. When anytime that we're in our indie sessions, like we're going to open up in 2 weeks with indies, and the weekends are the guys. When we are in indies, it's Monday through Friday, and the weekends are theirs. When we're in full team practice in the fall and it's 5 days a week, we're going to go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Sunday is theirs. And then when we get into the season, obviously they're ours, and you're playing baseball. It's off days are probably extra work, but I think that a normal day for our guys is they're going to lift at 6:45 in the morning 3 times a week, going to go to class. They're going to get out. Most guys are showing up at the field for early work around 12:30, practice in the late afternoon. We're fortunate to have lights, so we're not up against the clock and not trying to fight daylight. So we'll be out on the field till 6 something, and then guys take off and go get their schoolwork done. So but for SNU baseball guys, and specifically for a position player, if you're trying to get by with just during full team fall practice, if you're trying to get by with the 15 hours a week, that's not going to do it. You're going to have a really tough time getting on the field unless you're uber talented. And even those guys often get beat out by somebody else. There's time outside of baseball that guys are devoting to baseball. And, we're fortunate enough with our staff to have the opportunity to be out there working with them. Always going to be a player development driven program. Never going to be able to get away with that. Even with the portal, like if you were in the portal and you're gone, like it was probably something that you needed to be really working on and improve upon in most cases. I mean, everybody needs to be constantly working on their game. So, yeah, I mean, it's lift, class, early work, practice, and then schoolwork. That's a normal day, pretty much hit repeat. I mean, we try to make sure that we give the guys some opportunities to have their weekends and to have that social component to the school.
Perfect. Last question I want to ask you is, what are you guys currently looking for in the rest of your 26 class, and what are you looking for in the 27?
We came into this summer and we knew we were going to need a couple transfers. And they were going to, we knew we needed some arms, but we lost, like 4 impact players to the transfer portal. And they moved on, and I'm happy for those guys. In most cases, it ends up that it's a way better financial situation for them. And they got things that can't be provided to them at Southern New Hampshire. And that's real. I'd be lying if I sat there and said that you had the same opportunity to move on to professional baseball out of Southern New Hampshire that you have at a UConn. Like that's not real. I'd be lying right to a kid's face if I said that. So we had some guys move on to other programs that were really good, and good for those guys. But we were left with 24 players on our roster in late May when our season came to a close. So we had to, quite frankly, this is the hardest I've had to work in the summer in a very long time. Did more tours than I've ever had to do ever before, but we brought in 12 transfers, which is not something that we want to be doing maybe ever again, because that's a lot of work and a lot of time. So we had to bring in 12 transfers, but at the same time, we're going to be graduating, depending on guys, how they use their last year of eligibility. Like we're losing 10 to 14 guys off the roster. So to ensure that we didn't have to bring in 12 transfers again, we needed to bring in a class of 10 to 12, 10 to 13 freshmen. So it's been a very busy summer. We have gotten, this is a funny thing for you guys, and in being in the world that you're in, Zach, specifically, is I think that high school kids at this point know what they're looking for way more so than ever before.
100%.
And it used to be I loved working with transfers in the summer. We'd get 3 of them a summer, and the transfer knew exactly what he was looking for. Most of the time, it was an opportunity. And now that's the high school kid. The high school kid's looking for an
Let me
opportunity.
cut you off, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Back when I played, right, if you were transferring, you had to go to D2. So you were going to Pierce or you were going to SNHU.
All right, so that did make it easier.
Think about it. When there was rules, like you couldn't go up and you couldn't stay at one. So 2017, 2018 was Pierce or SNHU. And I'm sure when it was King and Chambers against Scotty and you guys, like those were both phone calls being made for most of those guys that were looking to transfer. Because again, it wasn't as many, like it wasn't as popular. Like you really had to hate where you were to get out. Now it's like, I don't even have to tell my coach, just, hey, AD's office, I'm leaving. See you, put me in the portal. Like you don't even have to have it. And I think that's a lot of value too. And I mean, we're not going to talk about that, but it's like, you don't even have to tell the coach you're transferring anymore. You just put your name in the portal.
You do. If you're a man, you go and have that conversation.
The respectful one. Right.
Yeah.
But you can go back to what you're saying. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
No, you're right. So, I kind of lost my train of thought there. I can say something on that though. I do see it working both ways. Like it's certainly the transfer portal works to players' advantage, but I know and have had multiple conversations with kids that were at universities, had been there for 3 years, were good academic institutions, and they were cut loose from their program. They were told that they were not welcome back, that their scholarship money was gone. And they had to find a new place if they wanted to continue to play collegiate baseball. And I think that's really hard. That's really hard too. And that's really challenging for a lot of kids, because I think that coaches should take ownership of, like in my eyes, like if we offer scholarship money to somebody and they don't pan out, I want to take as much of the blame in that scenario as the player. I evaluated wrong. And that's why we have to be so careful in making our decisions, and why I think that at SNHU we are really careful with our decision making, because sometimes if you don't pan out, it's not on you, it's on me. Like I made a mistake in my evaluation of you as a player, and are you going to go into your senior year and I'm going to tell you that there's not a spot for you here and I'm going to be taking your money? Like I don't like that either. I understand it's a business and that happens, but I don't know. I'm not into that either. On the flip side, from a coaching end of things, but
well, it just shows how invested you are too. Like you want them to have a successful 4-year career. Like it's not, hey, you're coming here, like hopefully it works out. Like no, you're investing from the time you see them to the time they graduate. And again, if they move on, they move on. But it's like, I think we're losing a little bit of value, and I don't say it as a bad way, but I think there are coaches that are losing a little bit of value in it because of how it used to be. Like now it's I can go window shop the portal and get 10 guys. Like I've had some college coaches tell me, hey, we're not taking a single portal guy. And it's just because that's what they want, which is totally fine. But then there's other guys of like, hey, I'm getting towards the end of my coaching career and I'm going to retire in 5 years. Like, why wouldn't I just go shop the portal and I don't have to spend my entire summer traveling up and down the East Coast to find guys to fill my roster? Like, I see both sides of it, but I think the teams that are continuing the success that they've had for the past years is going to be the guys that are still invested in, one, going to look at the high school kids and, like you said, going to high school games, and then two, actually doing homework on portal guys that have, all right, this kid's not just a guy that throws 95 and has no idea where the plate is, right? Because it goes back to what you said of throwing the white thing over the white. All right, PA, I want to thank you for joining today's podcast, and I wish you and the Penmen the best of luck heading into this fall.
Well, guys, thank you very much for having me on, giving me the opportunity to talk about our program and university, and look forward to seeing you guys back out on the road.
Thanks for joining, PA.
Of course.
Thank you, guys.